So let's talk about this Lakers and Warriors game. Today we saw the Lakers and Warriors face off against each other, and it was one of those things where it was just a magical game between Steph and LeBron and the Warriors and the Lakers. These guys, I mean, they're both pretty mid if we're being honest. They're both playing teams. They're ninth and 10th in the West, and they're really fighting for that spot. And even though that is the case, we can see that there's a clear inclination in both of these teams to play much harder when they face each other. This is obviously due to the LeBron and Steph rivalry, and we've seen guys like Clay, Wiggins, and the whole Warriors team step up, as especially as we saw it in the first quarter as they came in and they were hot. LeBron scored 10 points in the first quarter alone, and he in the end scored 40 points, just being a complete menace from everywhere that he shot. It was one of those performances where LeBron just said, "Hey, I just need to put my head down because if you guys didn't know, Anthony Davis did get injured, if I'm not mistaken. He went out of the game after the first quarter, and it didn't look too good for him as he scored 6 points. He was playing great, but then it turned into like, oh, I can't really play anymore. We saw LeBron then have to step up in that second quarter, hitting that beautiful N1 3. But the Warriors kept going at it consistently. Steph in this game, we saw him score 31, and we saw him make a lot of beautiful threes, and there was really a problem with the defense in this game. Even though we did see Steph play great, I do believe that this game was and this win by the Warriors, because they did end up winning, was a big, exclamation point as to the fact that the Warriors got pretty lucky as the fact that AD wasn't playing the entire game. We saw the Warriors just consistently attack them, and the Lakers try to, regain some momentum, but especially with Steph Curry having scored 11 in the second quarter and then coming back in the third and fourth and scoring basically 20 points, he made himself just a complete threat in every way possible. He scored around 15 in the last two quarters, and that caused him to and his team to win. We did see Draymond Green become a great playmaker as he normally is, but we saw him just be bold this game as he threw an alley-oop from the mid-court. We saw him throw lobs to Kuminga all night, and we could tell that he loves that connection. The only thing is that he doesn't abuse it, so they don't guard Kuminga too greatly. But he was throwing dimes all night to Wiggins for open threes, to Kuminga for lobs, to everybody. And D'Angelo Russell and the Lakers really did seem like they were good. They were playing well. The only problem was that they were getting too many points scored on them. On offense, LeBron and the Lakers were playing great. You saw them consistently be able to hit big threes and big leads. You saw D'Angelo Russell doing behind the back layups. He by the third quarter already had 20 points and 8 assists on great shooting. So the Lakers were on fire this game, and they were playing exactly how you wanted to play. The only problem is that not having AD, and especially not being able to guard Steph, made it very hard for them to play defense. You saw LeBron getting really lost on some of these coverages, and that was not because of him. That was because the Warriors were running this switch-heavy offense where they were switching everything, right? And honestly, it was amazing to see the way that offensively LeBron tried to carry his team, and the way that Steph in two quarters scored around 30 points basically, because in the first quarter he scored nothing, and in the second quarter he scored, and in the third quarter he scored around 27 if I'm not mistaken, or it was around 30 points in the third quarter, but in the second and third quarter. Then we saw the Lakers try to come back as it was 93-85 at the end of the first. They tried to come back consistently, but the problem also was the fact that they couldn't rebound. Since AD wasn't there wasn't like Jackson Hayes was tasked to be the rebounder, and even though he is a great player, because they were running Trace Jackson Davis at the top. And even though he can't shoot, they were still guarding him at the top of the screen, which is something that I find insane. We did see that be a thing for them in that third and fourth quarter, where it was like, bring Jackson Hayes out, because I don't know why he was playing Trace Jackson Davis so high when he's a player who's historically known for just being like the prototypical big man. Apart from that, we saw guys in the Lakers like Taurean Prince and, Spencer Dinwiddie try to do something. We saw D'Lo be amazing and Max Christie also play his game. But in the end, by the third quarter, they subbed LeBron out, and then they brought him back in a very crucial situation where I don't think he should have been out. And that caused the Warriors to get like a 9-point lead. And by the time that LeBron came back, even though he played great, the Lakers, they didn't seem ready to really compete for that win, as even though they were playing great, LeBron got 2 and 1s in the third quarter, and the Lakers still couldn't play even half decent defense just to make up for those offensive possessions. We did see Austin Reeves play great. We saw him get an and 1, and it was a 4-point game with 5 minutes left. But then we saw something that was the marker for this entire game, which was the fact that the defense and the paint defense for the Lakers was trash. They allowed like 4 straight wide open layups just by switching it. And they allowed 2 straight wide open layups from Draymond Green because in the paint they could not, do anything. LeBron on offense was trying everything. He scored 11 points in the fourth quarter with 2 minutes left, and then he took it again. He was on Curry, he got stripped, and that was basically the game right there. I do want to say that LeBron played great in the fourth quarter, and he was amazing for this game. But without Anthony Davis, and this is a real problem for the Lakers, they saw their paint defense just be completely nulled to zero when they weren't there. The Warriors did a great job of abusing this, but I do believe that if Anthony Davis wasn't there, then they would have not been able to do it. And this is where I pose the question, what are the Lakers going to do if AD is not healthy come playoff time? Like we saw that this game, the Lakers were going to consistently to LeBron 4 points, and on defense the Warriors found out that they could not guard in the paint without Anthony Davis, so they just went to the paint, and they scored like 20 straight points in the paint without shooting 1 3. Draymond scored like 6 points down there. Steph scored like 2 wide open layups. Kuminga scored like 2 wide open dunks. And it was a thing of like, what are you going to do, especially for your team when you don't have Anthony Davis? If teams can just routinely go to the paint and abuse you down low because your second best player is not there, then that means that your team is not ready for maybe in the playoffs when Anthony Davis has to get brought out because there's a big man who can shoot, like Nikola Jokic. Is your paint just going to be completely null, or will there be somebody there who can actually be able to score? So these are the questions that I'm posing for the Lakers, because if they don't figure this out, they will lose again and again and again, and they won't have a chance of winning anything. I do think that these teams, the Warriors and the Lakers, are going to have a play-in battle. And if something like this were to happen again, then it's not going to be as easy for you to win a game where teams are plotting and strategizing to abuse you because you're fighting for a playoff spot. In this case, I believe that the Lakers need to get better. Jackson Hayes needs to get some classes on how to guard the paint. Maybe go and sign a free agent, a big dude who could just sit down there for hours and rebound and be in the paint like an Andre Drummond if you can. And if there's no other possibilities, the trade deadline is over, then you have to find out a way to maybe even make Rui Hachimura a paint defender. The Lakers have no interior defense. The Warriors won this game through some great performances, right? Shout out to Kuminga, shout out to Curry, and shout out to Wiggins, which actually had a pretty decent game. And also shout out to Draymond for getting almost a triple-double with 13 assists and 12 rebounds. So yeah, that was it. Oh, and also shout out to Clay. He got 26 points.